Recording this video after close of trade Friday 3rd of August 2012. Hope you had a good day's trading today. Thought I'd do something a little bit different. Record a video today about how to re-enter in a trend using the better indicators. This was prompted by an email from Paul, and Paul wrote, "Hi Barry, today I found it really difficult to get a clear long signal on the better indicators. I was getting divergence dots on both the 4500 and 1500 charts to go short, which I was not about to do given the positive economic releases, regardless of any market manipulation theories. The market wanted to go higher, so I was looking for something on the better indicators to give me a confirmation to enter long." So just a note there, good instincts, Paul, exactly. It's like the market wants to go higher. If you got that kind of background news, today we had a really big pop kind of pre the open, and it just kept on going. So the thing to do is to look for entries in the direction of trend and not to try and second guess it and kind of fade the market. Paul continues, "It would help me immensely if you could go over today's activity and share how you would have traded it or did trade it. I know it's always clearer after the chart is completed, so if you could go through some analysis on how to use the hard right edge to make a decision on a day like today, greatly appreciated. Thank you for all the updates, contributions. Really enjoy the site, Paul." Okay, so how to re-enter in a trend. Let me just first of all make these points. The simplest and most robust advice I can give is to take a signal on better sine wave, a support or resistance level when it's printed on the 500 tip bar chart. If you want to make an entry kind of early on in the trend and you think you've got the trend direction right, take the next signal you see on better sine wave in terms of a new support or resistance level being printed. So if you've broken into an uptrend, the market's kind of moving fast, you want to get in at the next support level that prints on better sine wave. That's the easiest, simplest advice, and it's incredibly kind of robust better sine wave. It will get you in on the little retracements. Now, couple of other little kind of suggestions to make. First of all, you could look for confirmation, particularly if you see amateur bars and Rambo patterns. Those would be kind of confirmation kind of coming into, if we're in an uptrend, let's say a support level kind of being printed. If you see professional bars also active into the retracement, buying into the dip in a retracement in an uptrend, kind of go with those for confirmation. And if you also see shallow divergence signals on better momentum, all of those things together will give you kind of greater confirmation. But the simplest thing is just to kind of go with the flow and take the next support or resistance level that's kind of printed. Now, the advantages to this is you'll get far more frequent signals in a trend move on the 500 tip bar chart than the higher time frame ticks bar charts, so you get kind of quicker entries. If you've identified the trend direction correctly, the support and resistance levels are rarely broken. That's one of the advantages of these signals on better sine wave. So if we're in an uptrend, the support levels will hold continuously. The resistance levels, you'll get overshoots on those because the market is strong and going up. So it's overshooting resistance levels. The support levels will rarely be hit on the downside. And it's unlikely that if you're using, like me, a 4-point stop, your stop will get hit. If your stop gets hit, you got the trend direction wrong. So it's like if you're in a strong trend or uptrend or downtrend, retracement moves rarely move kind of 4 points away, so the stops that you put in are unlikely to get hit. So let's look at some charts to show you what I mean. First of all, the 4500 tip bar chart. This was Friday's activity. This was the open on Friday. This was the close on Thursday, and you can see we broke into this very strong uptrend. Now let's just go back a couple of days and show you what happens. This is all of Friday's activity. This is the overnight session. This is Thursday's activity, the overnight session between Wednesday and Thursday. This is the ECB announcement that we were all waiting for. What's Draghi actually going to do? We got a huge amount of volatility. We sold off after that. We got exhaustion patterns, bullish divergence here. We rally into an exhaustion pattern and a bearish divergence pattern here, and we drop off again. So today's rally that we saw was set off from a low being put in on Thursday with exhaustion, selling on the downside, bullish divergence patterns kind of coming in. We broke this resistance level and we moved into this strong uptrend. So the strong uptrend overnight, we made about 20 points from the close on Thursday to the open on Friday. That was a big kind of rally. Now, if you were kind of trading it and you were able to get into this kind of early, any of these dips kind of being bought would be good. But then the best thing to do once this trend is in place is to buy kind of the first dip that you see in the expectation that the rally will continue. And the rally ran for probably about an hour after the open, and it spent the rest of the day in a really fairly tight consolidation zone. There was only one tiny opportunity to pick up kind of 4 points on a little retrace in the last hour of the day, but that was a risky move. Fridays tend to be kind of there's a propensity to have up days on Fridays and also trend days on Fridays. So that's what we got with this activity. So let's go into the 500 tip bar chart, and I'll show you what I mean by buying retracements here. This is the 500 tip bar chart, and I've kind of bunched this up a little bit, and you can see that during this trending move, first couple of hours during the day, look at all the support levels that went in. There was one support level kind of early in the day that got broken on the downside. Every single one after that held. So you can see that going through here. And then if you go back and look at the start of this trending move, so from the close on Thursday, this is where we get the breakout into the first kind of strong trending move on the 500 tip bar chart. Again, the red lines that are being printed here, every single one of them is holding. So that's what I mean by, if you get the trend direction right, these, in the case of an uptrend, the support levels would all hold. You get the overshoots of the resistance levels. So you can see here that after the beginning of the day, resistance level, we get an overshoot. Support does not get overshoot. That holds. We get an overshoot of the resistance level, support level holds. Overshoot of resistance, support holds. Support holds, resistance holds in this case, but then we go into another period. Resistance is overshot, support holds. We slightly overshoot here. I think you get the picture. So all the support levels are going to be hold, and all the resistance levels will overshoot. Now, occasionally you might see a lower resistance level kind of come in. So for example here, you're kind of late into the piece here. It's over 11 o'clock Chicago time. You maybe have bought this support level here in the expectation. Well, the next support level actually holds down below it, and that's kind of the most amount of retrace that you might have to sit through if you picked a bad kind of retracement level, support level, I beg your pardon, to buy in on. So you might have to sit through that in order to see this again. But then as soon as you start to see, for example, 3 resistance levels, we're not getting overshoots of these resistance levels, so all of a sudden the pattern, the character of the market has changed. On this last little move up, you'll actually see blue professional bars kind of coming in here, taking profits, getting short, and that's the only opportunity for a nice little kind of 4-point trade on the way down. So you've got kind of a lower support level, resistance levels don't overshoot, and they're kind of at the same level, if you like. So you know that the trend is starting to weaken because this pattern of higher and higher resistance and support levels is starting to break down, and you've got a nice little short trade. But it's an up day, and it tends to end on the highs, and so the market professionals kind of come in at the lows here, pull back to dirty end of trend, blue professional bars kind of come in, and we kind of close on the highs. Now, so that's just the simplest thing, just to buy those, the next support level that you see in an uptrend, sell the next resistance level in a downtrend that you see. For confirmation, look for kind of little blue professional bars or amateur bars into those lows. So kind of early on, before the open, you can see we had Rambo patterns and amateur bars down here. These are a Rambo pattern is a potential reversal of an amateur breakout. So the amateur there is thinking, we're breaking to new lows, I'm going to get short because this is going to break into a downtrend now. We've got a change in trend on our hands. No, the amateurs get wrong-footed, the market kind of breaks away again. The next time we come into a support level here, blue professional bars into the lows. After the open, we overshoot this little support level a fraction, happens to actually be, and I'll show you this on the next chart, that's a support level on the 1500 tip bar chart. But look, coming into this, blue professional bars, buying that retracement, and then this little family of Rambo patterns. All these amateurs trying to short here, seeing the top is in, this is breaking into a downtrend. No, they got wrong-footed, bang, we go away and break into another uptrend. Not much in terms of, a little bit of professionals buying this dip, if anything. They weren't taking profits on the way up here. If anything, they were kind of buying that little dip there. We kind of continue on here. No kind of confirmation in terms of other patterns, but the support level kind of holds here. Here's another classic one here. Coming into this dip, Rambo patterns, trying to get short. The professionals step in, little blue professional bar. The support level holds, bang, we break away again. Another one here into this support level, blue professional bars kind of come in here, we break away. Any little dip like this where you see amateurs kind of selling that dip, as soon as the highs of those amateur bars taken out, we break into a little bit of a strong move again. So there we go. So you'll see the Rambo patterns on the little dips coming in at support levels on the 500 tip bar chart, and they're really nice places to kind of use as entry points. They also happen to be places where you can think about kind of taking profits again. You'll know that the market will start to weaken when you see Rambo patterns, particularly after you've seen exhaustion buying, flush patterns, pull back to end of trend, see a Rambo pattern and blue professional bars right at the high up there, and the market kind of weakens for a while after that until they kind of pick it up again. So on a 500 tip bar chart, the simplest thing to do is almost like without thinking, just take the next signal you get on better sine wave as support or resistance signal. If it comes with confirmation, that's great, because that kind of gives you more confidence that it's kind of going to be a good trade. And you'll get more frequent signals on the 500 tip bar chart, and it'll allow you to get into a trend move earlier. Now, on the 1500 tip bar chart, exactly the same advice. The support or resistance levels that you see kind of coming up. You'll see fewer Rambo patterns on the 1500 tip bar chart. They're more likely to be amateur bars and professional bars during those retracements. So the same advice as the 500 tip bar charts, but you won't see the Rambo patterns as frequently. And again, looking for shallow kind of divergent signals again. The signals will be less frequent on the 1500 tip bar chart. They'll also tend to be later on in the move, but you might get a bigger move playing a pullback to end of trend type signal on the 1500 tip bar chart. There's a risk that you've entered in kind of the blow off activity, the end of the move. So the 500 tip bar chart will get you in earlier, the 1500 will be a later kind of signal. And again, just to note, on all of these kind of points, the rules are symmetrical. You just flip them upside down, uptrends and downtrends. I don't distinguish between. You will see exactly the same thing. Amateur bars, professional bars, Rambo patterns, divergence patterns, and so on. All of those things, you'll see exactly the same type of activity. They'll be symmetrical in terms of rules for uptrends and downtrends. So you don't need to make a compensation and start thinking about different types of rules for uptrends or downtrends. Let's just go to the 1500 tip bar chart now for Friday's activity. And you can see kind of pre the open, we've broken into this uptrend here. We had a pullback level, support level held there, the next support level holds there, the next support level holds there, the next support level holds, pullback to end of trend. Then we have another support level that holds, and so on. And you can see at this point here, the market character starts to change. You get to the resistance finally, but it does kind of get overshot, and so that's the first sign that the market is starting to weaken. And then you've also seen exhaustion buying, bearish divergence, and a flush pattern flushing out those buyers, plus two Rambo patterns. Amateurs kind of expecting this market to keep on going, or they place their stops up here and their stops have been run, and so you've got kind of Rambo patterns up there, and then you see this weakness of that support level not holding, and all of a sudden you're like, well, this market might be starting to change in character. Let's just back into this little move here. You can see blue professional bars coming into a resistance point, lower resistance point, saying that they're kind of getting short on this move, and that's where we have this little 4-point move into support at the end of the day, which is a risky trade. You wouldn't want to do it, but it does show that the market kind of character has changed at that point. The support levels in this uptrend on the 1500 tip bar chart held all the way up on this move, so you can get in on those support levels on 1500. And then the same kind of rules apply in terms of blue professional bars kind of coming in at the lows here. Nice cluster of them as the support level gets hit, and we kind of keep on going up. This one earlier on in the day, the pullback level is a little bit late, a couple of kind of bars late, but you can see the point. Amateur down bars into a support level, holds, and we kind of keep going. This was the nicest one of the day. It's actually the trade I took today. So we had blue professional bars coming into these lows, Rambo pattern on the 1500 tip bar chart, which is a little bit of a rarer event. You'll see far more on the 500. So amateurs getting wrong-footed at this point. The support level kind of comes in, blue professional bars buying that dip, and look, little bullish divergence right close to the zero line, showing a shallow divergence pattern there. Market takes off. And then the best point to get out here was after we had exhaustion buying. It's actually a pro signal exit right here. I've taken off better momentum on the price bars here. This will be a pro signal exit where we get exhaustion buying, blue professional bars right at those highs, and that's where I got out at. I was long 79.75 right on the break here, out at that pro signal exit at 83.75 for 4. It was one shot, one kill, nice little trade. You know, it's kind of late in this trend because we've rallied 20 points overnight. So taking a signal early in the day in the direction, assuming a continuation of that trend, is the way to go. So there we go. I hope that was useful to you, Paul. Thanks for the good email, good question. I know it kind of looks difficult. You are seeing those divergence patterns kind of coming up on the chart, but until we have exhaustion buying, bearish divergence, and a pullback to end of trend move, this thing isn't over. So you know, just be wary of these exhaustion patterns kind of pre the open. The professionals are waiting for the full liquidity of the market in order to get in and take their profits finally at the end of a trend move like this. You're looking for any opportunity to jump in, and the easiest way to do it is just to look for those in an uptrend support levels that print on the 500 tip bar chart. Look for a little bit of confirmation. This was a beauty. You know, support level on 1500. The confirmation was a Rambo pattern, blue professional bars, bullish divergence. I mean, it's a little trifecta there in terms of those three. They're all non-correlated indicators coming together to tell you that's a high probability trade. You take it for whatever you like. I mean, it would have been nice to hold to pull back to end of trend. That's not my kind of thing. I like kind of taking profits on, you know, the rapid expansion of the market. It started to you know, be a little bit choppy after that, but you know, there was another 3 or 4 points to that pullback to end of trend at that point there. I'll tag on that day trade just so you can see my thinking at the hard right edge. Like you said, Paul, so it's like you can actually see it developing in real time. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope that video was useful to you. Long 79.75, long 79.75, and reason we're getting long, just had support coming on the 1500 tip bar chart. So we sold off a little bit after exhaustion, kind of buying here. Blue professional bars kind of coming in at lows, then a whole cluster of Rambo patterns. So the amateur is trying to short it too early, I'm guessing, and then support holds on 1500. So hopefully we'll just go to support to resistance on 15. See if we make kind of another exhaustion pattern kind of here or something kind of similar. This was a fairly, you know, decent reading before the open of about 11,000. So a couple of minutes later, we just kind of ran up to 81s. Exhaustion buying kind of come in, and then we just found resistance on 500 and kind of came back a little bit. But we're having another go. It was actually a flush pattern on the 1500 tip bar chart. So don't want to overstay my welcome, but if we get a little bit of a spike, 82's kind of the highs here, target's 83.75, which would be about right. Here we go, so we're coming up to 82's, so I find a little bit of weakness first. Did have blue professional bars on the downside here, so it could have been buying the dip, which is kind of good. So I might get lucky. Here we go, we're going to 82's. Just have blue professional bars kind of spiking up here just above 82's. We could, I mean, it looks like a little bit of a flat top, so we could kind of just go for a little bit of push through, run those stops. But if it gets to 81, I'll dump it just because we had that flush pattern. It's coming through, so trying, so just looking for that little bit of fizz. 6,000 on better momentum, so we could see a nice little. Here we go. We're going to go through them. Blue professional bars at the high here, so 82.75s. Just looking for another point more. 83.75s. Come on. Nerve-wracking. We're up at 83s. Blue professional bars kind of coming in here, just hoping for a little bit of a spike. I'm so tempted to get out at 82.75 just for 3, but let's see if we just get a little bit of pop. Here we go. Well, those stops just got run really quickly just there, just kind of spiked up out at 83.75 for 4. 15,000 on better momentum on. There we go. Pro signal exit, blue professional bars, bang, bang, bang. Classic. So, you know, continuation of the uptrend. just always looking for these kind of exhaustion patterns kind of after the open rather than just before. In on the Rambo pattern here, and blue professional bars kind of coming into the low support holding Rambo pattern, and bang, we didn't see blue professional bars on this little rise, so, and these blue professional bars were just jumping the creek almost, and then that was profit taking pro signal exit. Excellent. So good. 8:55 AM we got ISM non-manufacturing, but that's me done for the day. One shot, one kill.